Well, let's quickly focus on what the overall situation in India right now is. A look at first at 16 big states. And what we have now is a look at the states which have more than doubled in 1 week. Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh topped this list, and at 6,000 and 5,000 cases each, this rate of growth could overwhelm health services very quickly. Chhattisgarh doubled to almost 16,000 cases, while Delhi saw almost 10,000. The second one has 8 states where pressure is building rapidly on the health systems. We are seeing that in Maharashtra, where almost 250,000 new cases have been added. What's particularly worrying is that these states, including pole-bound Tamil Nadu, are seeing cases rising at a rapid pace. The other pole-bound state, Kerala, is the only one where this rate of growth is in single digits, but a few days back this was negative. Meanwhile, the Mumbai municipality, the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, has released a fresh set of orders and guidelines for hospitals and nursing homes. Given the situation in the state, all facilities should activate their maximum number of beds. An assistant commissioner is in charge of every ward and could be deployed if required. Police personnel, teachers and any other staff in the selected nursing homes and local hospitals should be deployed if required. Hospital beds and ICU beds at the ward level in nursing homes and local hospitals need to be exhausted first if the numbers keep building up. But no admission shall be done directly without telling the war room. That is a central facility that's overseeing admissions. No asymptomatic COVID patients without any comorbidity will be allotted a COVID bed. 80% of the total number of COVID beds and 100% of ICU beds at private hospitals shall be kept reserved for war room allotment COVID patients only. Again, this war room decides who gets a bed. All COVID facilities should check their oxygen supply systems, ventilators, maintain adequate stock of medicines and logistics. All private hospitals having COVID facilities must depute a designated nodal officer around the clock. Why is all of this happening? Well, it's happening because there have been 31,643 new cases and 102 COVID deaths in 24 hours in Maharashtra. In Mumbai itself, 5,888 new cases, 12 COVID deaths in 24 hours. And the big worry now in Maharashtra is that with the numbers soaring through the roof in several states, the availability of beds in Maharashtra, Mumbai in particular, a matter of huge concern. At the moment, there are only 131 ventilator beds available in public hospitals and just 95 at private hospitals.
Himangi Rane stays in Mumbai's Mulund area. Last evening, her husband was diagnosed with COVID and she struggled to find a bed at private hospital in Mumbai.
I'm struggling to find a COVID bed for him in a COVID dedicated hospital, but I have not found a single bed for my husband.
And she's not alone. With Mumbai recording 30,000 cases over the weekend, soon the city will face a complete shortage of beds. To do the math, every day about 6,000 to 7,000 cases are coming up in the city, and with nearly 10 to 15% of patients requiring hospitalization, it's clear that about 600 to 700 additional patients need a COVID bed every day at this rate. As per the data from the BMC, out of a total 16,247 beds across all categories, 12,008 have been occupied, leaving 26% or 4,239 beds free. Of ICU beds, 1,709 is the capacity, 1,261 are occupied, 448 are available. Of 8,694 beds with oxygen, 6,520 are occupied, leaving 2,174 available. But significantly, of 1,036 ventilator beds, as many as 810 are occupied, leaving just 226 presently available. Of this, 131 are available in public hospitals, but just 95 in private hospitals. The Mumbai municipality expects to touch 10,000 cases every day in coming days, and given the growth rate of the virus, there is a plan to increase the total number of beds to 21,000 in the next 10 to 15 days.
There are no ICU beds available in many of the cities, and the situation is getting worse In Dhule, Jalgaon, like smaller cities also, there are oxygen beds are less and the oxygen is not available in proper quantity. There are so many hospitals where the patients have died because of lack of oxygen. The situation is really getting worse. If this continues, then the next month or the next week will be really crucial.
Looking at the grim situation and the number of cases going up continuously, the Maharashtra government is now preparing for a lockdown. The state government is also giving emphasis on institutional quarantine over home isolation, and for that, number of beds and oxygen supply needs to be ramped up to keep the death rate under control. In Mumbai with camera person Rajendra Dhyalkar, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
Well, Bengaluru is seeing the maximum number of cases in Karnataka, a state that's been hit by the second wave of COVID-19. Sunday night's data showed over 2,000 fresh cases in Bengaluru.
Government hospitals across Bengaluru are once again getting to grips with rising COVID-19 numbers. All 108 beds reserved for COVID patients in this hospital are full. More beds will be added as needed.
In the March and late March now, we are seeing there is an increased number of COVID positive patients coming for treatment in our hospital. Totally we have reserved 108 beds for COVID patients. Cases are going to increase. We are going to further increase the number of these beds.
Just a week ago, the Jayanagar General Hospital, a government hospital in South Bengaluru, had set aside 50 beds with oxygen for COVID patients as the second wave began to hit the city. Now that number has doubled to 100 beds, with 85 to 90 occupied.
Karnataka also is seeing a steep surge. We were only 300 numbers in March 1st, 2nd, 3rd. But at the end of the March, we are seeing almost 3,000 cases in the state. We need to upscale all our precautionary measures.
The question on the minds of many, will this surge in numbers lead to a lockdown or curfew?
Today, as our Honorable Prime Minister has yesterday said, Janata curfew is the only way forward. We need to learn to live with the virus. Coexistence with this pandemic is the order of the day.
So the stress is on the public needing to follow COVID protocols. But a whopping 10 crores in fines collected over the last year by the city corporation, the BBMP, is also actually an indication that mask wearing is not yet a universal habit. With Govind, Maya Sharma in Bengaluru for NDTV.
In Delhi, there have been over 1,900 COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Delhi has registered the highest number of daily cases since the 13th of December. Market associations need to enforce COVID protocol, with the Delhi government now appealing to people to follow COVID norms. It's now getting very, very difficult across the country.
As the country is witnessing a massive second wave of coronavirus cases, the national capital is also at the brink of another wave, as it has registered over 1,500 COVID-19 cases in the past 3 days. Right now we are at the Sarojini Nagar market, one of the popular markets of the national capital, but the situation here is baffling. Most of the people who are behind me, the crowd that you can see, most of them are not wearing masks. The ones who are wearing masks are not wearing it properly, and there are only very few people who are wearing it properly, as been suggested by the government and the experts.
हमें कोरोना नहीं हो रहा है, कोरोना ही नहीं हो रहा मुझे, वाटर ड्रिंक कम थी इसलिए।
कोरोना के केसेस बढ़ रहे हैं दिल्ली में, मास्क क्यों नहीं पहन रखा?
सॉरी भैया, सॉरी। ठीक है भैया, ऐसे यार मैं मास्क पहना नहीं, मैं भूल गया, थोड़ा बाथरूम चला गया था ऐसे।
We have the president and chairman of Sarojini Nagar Market Association, Mr. Sani, here present with us. सबसे पहले ये चीज़ मैं जानना चाहता हूँ कि किस तरह से बिजनेस प्रभाव हुआ है, बिजनेस पर प्रभाव पड़ा है, और क्या लोगों ने अब कम आना शुरू किया?
ऐसे है जैसे पीछे तो कस्टमर बिल्कुल नॉर्मल हो गया था, कस्टमर बिल्कुल ठीक था, लेकिन अब जैसे जैसे कोविड के केसेस बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, 5-6 दिन से ये थोड़ा फिर ब्रेक हो गया। कस्टमर जो है जिस फ्लो से पहले चल रही थी सरोजिनी नगर मार्केट, कस्टमर में दहशत है, थोड़ा कम है। बढ़ रहे हैं तो कंट्रोल में चलना चाहिए। हम अपनी तरफ से पूरी कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हर कस्टमर को सैनिटाइज और मास्क वगैरह पहनने के लिए हम गाइड कर रहे हैं। हर दुकानदार को भी हमारा व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है मार्केट का, उसमें हम गाइड कर रहे हैं। हाँ जी,
इतनी भीड़ होती थी कि लोगों को पैर रखने की जगह नहीं होती थी। होली का त्यौहार है
और मार्केट में देख लो आप लोग, बिल्कुल भी कस्टमर नहीं है, लोग लापरवाही कर रहे हैं। अब सबके साथ तो हम लोग नहीं जा सकते।
According to a report of Health Ministry, while 90% of India's population is aware of the benefits of wearing mask and maintaining social distancing, 44% of population is the only population that actually is complying by the COVID appropriate behavior in the national capital. To reinforce the COVID appropriate behavior and to spread awareness, the Delhi Civil Defence has launched a campaign to spread awareness and inform people about the COVID appropriate behavior. We have Mr. Rohtas with us.
ये जो अब नई लहर जो आई है, इससे हमें थोड़ी चिंता तो है कि भाई ये नहीं होना चाहिए। इसके लिए हम और ज़्यादा लोगों को जागरूक कर रहे हैं कि इससे पूरा बचाव रखें, और जो हम पहले एहतियात बरतते थे वो बीच में हमने बंद कर दी थी, उस एहतियात को बरतते रहें।
While on one hand the Delhi government is spreading awareness regarding social distancing and wearing masks, but if still people are not adhering to the COVID appropriate behaviors and are not wearing masks, the civil defense and the other authorities are also issuing challans for all the violators.
25 to 30% लोग ऐसे हैं कि जो अभी तक पहन नहीं रहे हैं, बट फिर भी हम लोगों के लिए जागरूक हैं। जो चलान बेसिस होते हैं, डेली बेसिस पे कभी कभार चलान घटते भी हैं। ज़्यादातर लोग डर की वजह से मास्क पहनते हैं, और सडनली कई बार जब हम फोटोज़ भी कहते हैं तो वो झट से ऊपर मास्क कह लेते हैं, पर जब टाइम हम नहीं कर पाते चलान, बिकॉज दैट हम पे प्रूफ नहीं होता। ये ज़्यादातर डर 2000 के चलान का ही है।
With the rise in number of COVID cases, Delhi hospitals are also making appropriate arrangements by ensuring enough stock of medicines and by enhancing the healthcare infrastructure in the hospitals.
Delhi NCR has been witnessing increasing number of COVID cases. So all the hospitals are now preparing for a surge. Isolation wards are further being strengthened. The ER beds strength, especially for handling COVID patients, is being strengthened.
आपसे अपील करना चाहूँगा, देखो त्योहार है, आप बड़ी खुशी से मनाइए, घर के अंदर मनाइए। होता क्या है, जब आप 50 लोग मिल रहे हैं और बहुत क्लोज कांटेक्ट में रहते हैं, और उसमें से 2 लोग भी पॉजिटिव थे, 50 के 50 पॉजिटिव हो जाएंगे।
Delhi government as a containment measure has also made 1500 containment zones, and the experts believe that this is the opportune time with availability of vaccine to suppress the chain of transmission. But it is only possible if people take vaccines when the time comes, along with COVID appropriate behavior. With camera person Ashok Mahale, I'm Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
The constituency that's become the centerpiece of the Bengal Assembly elections, Nandigram, votes on the 1st of April. Today it started off with Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on the campaign trail on her wheelchair.
बोला 30 में 30 ही मिलेगा, तब तो गोल्ला ज्यादा होगा ना। रसगोल्ला खाबे, रस छाड़ा रसगोल्ला।
An election campaign like no other. The star candidate on a wheelchair. Nandigram has never seen anything like this, nor has anyone else really in Bengal or elsewhere. Mamata Banerjee going down bumpy village roads, wooing voters and taking on her rival Shubhendu Adhikari head-on, accusing him of communal politics.
আজকে কতগুলো ছেলেকে শিখিয়ে দিয়েছে হিন্দু মুসলমান করে দাও নন্দীগ্রামে। কতগুলো ছেলেকে শিখিয়ে দিয়েছে যাও গিয়ে হিন্দু মন্দিরে গিয়ে একটু মাংস ফেলে এসো যাতে দাঙ্গা লাগানো যায়।
At his village meetings deep inside Nandigram, Adhikari making no bones about his main plank against Mamata Banerjee, the charge of minority appeasement. Words like Pakistan, Begum, pepper his speech.
बेगम ही तो है, कलमा पढ़ रही है, गाड़ी चलो अपना तो साइड करे नहीं, कलमा हिंदू मंत्र स्तोत्र गलत और कलमा सही, और हर ईद में रेड रोड में नमाज पढ़ा जाता है हिजाब पर। क्या बोलेंगे?
At least 30% of Nandigram's population is Muslim. Divisions are getting sharper.
कभी भी मेरा जिंदगी में कभी नहीं देखा इतना ऐसा जो चीफ मिनिस्टर इंडिया में नहीं रहना चाहिए।
क्या ऐसा क्या हुआ आपको, ऐसे क्या दिक्कत आई आप लोगों को, क्या असुविधा हुआ?
क्योंकि वो झूठाबाज, वो कोई बात सच बात नहीं, उनका मुंह में जो बात आता है सब झूठा बात।
तो ममता दीदी ভালো
ভালো তো বটে, হাজার ভালো, লক্ষ ভালো, ওর মতো এত নিঃস্বার্থের ভালো, এত ভালো মানুষ হবে না। আর
ও তো ওই কালীঘাটে জন্মেছে কালী মায়ের এক অংশ ওকে পাঠাইছে মা অন্নপূর্ণা তৈরি করে
Tomorrow is the last day of campaigning at Nandigram, sure to be high decibel and high voltage. Nandigram has become the centerpiece of the Bengal Assembly elections. 1st April, the vote here will go down in history. At Nandigram with Anurag Dwari, Mandeepa Banerjee, NDTV.
On now to poll-bound Assam, where today is the second last day of campaigning for the second phase of the polls. On the 1st of April, 39 seats will go to the polls. Both the BJP and the Congress used today, Holi, to reach out to their supporters.
In a colourful mood on Holi, Assam Chief Minister Sarvananda Sonowal at the largest wholesale market in the northeast, Fancy Bazaar in Guwahati.
आप हमेशा खुश रहे, सुस्वस्थ रहे, मिलजुल के रहे।
आप सब मिलकर होली खेलना चाहते हैं और एक दूसरे से मिलकर, एक दूसरे के साथ मिलकर सद्भावना से होली खेलना चाहते हैं और सबको होली की शुभकामनाएं।
But politics or not, with just 3 days to go for the second phase polls in 39 crucial seats in central Assam and in the Bengali heartland of Barak Valley, this is certainly a good connect with the people. In 2016, the BJP had done extremely well here. But this time the Congress's Mahajot is playing challenger.
In fact, there you can see AICC General Secretary in charge of Assam, Jitendra Singh, playing Holi. He has been applied Holi Tika by party supporters in Silchar. The battle for Barak Valley is an intense political battle between the Congress and the BJP. Because last time, in 2016, in the Barak Valley region, out of the 15 seats, BJP had won 8 of them, while Congress could manage only 2 seats and its ally AIUDF had won 5 seats. But this time around, the battle for Barak Valley is very intense because with the alliance of the Congress and the AIUDF, there is a situation which might lead to polarization of the votes.
We've come to the temple, we've prayed for the future of Assam, for the people of Assam, for their good health and prosperity, and of course our commitment towards the 5 guarantees.
In Silchar, the BJP seems to have used Holi for a show of strength. All seems set for the second phase of polls in Assam on 1st of April. With Manish Kumar in Guwahati and camera person Sanjay Chakravarti in Silchar, Ratnadeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
The giant container ship, the Ever Given, has now finally been freed and it is now on its way. This was the ship that had blocked the Suez Canal for almost a week. It was fully floated and traffic in the waterway has now resumed. Let's bring you a few pictures of this. These satellite images really show a remarkable story of how this ship, which as we'll show you, was completely wedged onto the side, was slowly righted before it could actually continue and go towards the Mediterranean. So this was that slow, deliberate process of the Evergreen, of the Ever Given. The company is Evergreen. It's a 200,000-ton ship, one of the largest container ships in the world, progressively being brought into position before it was able to actually sail away. Now the Suez Canal, one of the most important waterways on earth, global trade was badly affected. Oil prices were going up. Food supplies were in short supply in certain areas. So getting this fixed was a huge priority. Now that's what happened. These are some of the newer pictures as we mentioned. But what was the situation a few days back? In fact, this was from day before yesterday. As you can see over here, it had wedged onto the side of the narrow canal and it was completely stuck. There were efforts at dredging out this area over here. But as a result of the ship not actually moving at all, this is what took place. And I don't know if you can actually zoom in over here or not, but this is actually the entrance over here to the canal. And in this entire area of the entry to the canal, a massive traffic jam of more than 150 odd ships, visible from space. All of these ships will now get a chance and opportunity of getting into the canal and then getting to their destination. It's going to cost insurers a lot of money. Time is money in the maritime trade. Well, we're going to finally leave you with India celebrating Holi amidst the alarming surge in COVID cases. Masks and social distancing sadly took a backseat. We'll leave you with these images.